Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I wanted to give you 5 tips that will help you lose your fear of speaking English and become more confident. And to make this video a little bit more special, I decided to ask my non-native speaking friends to help me and answer this one question. How did you overcome the fear of speaking English? And throughout this video, tip after tip, I'll be sharing my thoughts, my ideas, and you will also hear their ideas because they have managed to stop being afraid to speak English, at least to some extent, and I think they have a lot to share with you guys. Because I only speak to some of them in English. That's the only language that unites us. So let's start with the first tip. The first tip is I think you should surround yourself with people who are also learning English. Basically create some kind of community for yourself. And this is something that helped me so much because when I was still living in Russia, when I was in high school, I felt so sad and lonely because I couldn't share my passion towards English with anyone else, right? I felt like no one could really understand me. But the reason why was because I hadn't found any people who also liked English. I was completely alone, and that's why I was always sad and depressed. But everything changed when I discovered English speaking clubs. But for you, it might be something different, and maybe joining a language course or attending an English learning school. Anything really. Anything where you'll be able to interact with non-native speakers who are also learning English and who are going through the same struggles. This has helped me so much because I got to ask tips from people who have a higher level in English, and I also got to interact with people who have the same level in English, and I also saw people who have a lower level in English, and I was like, yeah, that's where I was like 2 years ago, but now I'm here and I'm proud of myself. But guys, an important note here, please don't only interact with people who have like a way higher level in English. If you're a beginner and if you are in a class of students with like a C1, like a very high and advanced level in English, it's gonna be a little bit hard for you, not just because the level is a lot higher, but also like mentally you're gonna feel bad about yourself, and you shouldn't. Any level in English is fine, and at any level you will find the same people. So if you're an elementary student, I would say it's okay to interact with people who are at like B1, like intermediate students, right? It's totally fine, but like advanced, not for now, because what we want is for you to lose your fear of speaking English, not become even more afraid.
Who says I have? Well, the fear I have of speaking English is basically having the other person mocking me, mocking my English, the way that I speak, my accent, and the way that I deal with it is by trying to focus on the message, on the thing that I'm trying to communicate to the other person. Sure, I'm still making lots of mistakes, but I get to practice, and practice makes perfect. So that's a good thing.
I've never had such a very big issue with speaking in English with my friends, my family, but when I was living in the United States, I had this little issue. Everyone used to ask about my accent. Oh, where are you from? Oh, you have an accent. Oh, you're not from here. So it was like kind of hard because I felt like I didn't belong there. But here's the thing, you have to practice and practice and practice. As long as you keep practicing, you're gonna be better at anything that you do. And in this case, speaking English, you will feel more confident.
And guys, if you don't know which language course to join, I highly recommend Lingida because it is an online language school where you can study English, French, German, and Spanish. And I study Spanish on their platform, and I absolutely love their classes. The reason why I like them so much is exactly because of the sense of community. Lingida offers group classes led by professional native speaking teachers, and that's exactly what helps me lose the fear of speaking English or any other language, Spanish for example, because I get to interact with non-native speakers at my level and I am corrected by a native speaker. This is like the best thing in the whole world, the best combination, because you get to see other non-native speakers and you get motivated. You see that other people struggle too, and it's completely okay to sometimes feel demotivated and scared. And this, realizing that, can help you lose the fear of speaking English. And the best part is, if you want to lose the fear of speaking English as fast as possible and improve your language skills, you should join Lingida's Language Sprint, which is an intensive language course where you'll be challenged to take classes every day or every other day for 2 months straight. And guys, listen to me very carefully here. If you attend all the classes, Lingida will refund you up to 100% of the course fee. And if you attend 15 lessons per month for 2 months, Lingida will give you 50% cashback for attending all the classes. Hundreds of students participate in Lingida sprints every month. And if you want to become one of them, make sure to use my discount code Veronika Sprint and the link below to join the sprint and lose your fear of speaking English. Let's now move on to the second tip, developing your language skills. Guys, there always comes a point in life, in your language learning, when you realize that unless you actually start actively developing your language skills, nothing is going to change. This is something that is happening to me right now in Spanish, because to be completely honest, I skip a lot of days. I don't study Spanish every single day, and it's completely on me. And that's why I still have this fear of speaking Spanish. And if you guys study English consistently, if you develop a good routine, you will naturally lose this fear because you will be confident in your language skills. And this is something that happened to me when I lived in Moscow. I remember that a very long time ago, when I would go to my parents' town, my hometown, on the train, I would take like all the grammar books or all the books in English, and I would just study English for 4 hours straight, because that was the trip from Moscow to my hometown. And that was amazing. This is how I was developing my language skills, and that's how I was becoming more and more confident, which in turn, in the future, allowed me to lose my fear of speaking English.
At first, I want to emphasize that I had several of them. For example, I had a huge language barrier. What I mean by that is that I couldn't even say a word. I knew grammar rules, I had a good vocabulary, which was passive, but I couldn't physically open my mouth and say something. The second one was a fear of making a mistake, not knowing grammar rule or words. And the third one was not actually fear, but being ashamed of my Russian accent, which I still have. Not fear, but accent. What did actually help me here? Help me overcome all these fears? The first thing is regular practice. Speaking English every single day. I had a great opportunity because I had a native English speaker with whom I could speak, but even if you don't have anyone around you who speaks English, you can talk to yourself. You can join some English speaking clubs, download some applications where you can speak with people from different countries. There are so many ways to do it nowadays, but what I always say is just every single day, a little bit, just speak, say things out loud. It helped me a lot. The second thing is giving yourself inner permission to make a mistake and making those mistakes intentionally. What I mean by that is when you speak with someone, when you have a conversation and you have this thought in the back of your mind like, maybe I won't say anything now because I don't know how to say that and I can't build a sentence and I will make a lot of mistakes. That's exactly when you have to go say things, make a lot of mistakes, maybe feel awkward a little bit. You can apologize and say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a native speaker and like I need some time to you can say, people understand. Actually, that's what I notice. I'm currently living in the United States and I noticed that no one actually cares about how many mistakes I make. They want to understand me. People want to understand me. And this leads us to my third recommendation, is to focusing on transmitting a message, on being understood. Because any language, in English as well, is just a means of communication, right? We use it to express our thoughts and to be understood. And that's what I'm focusing on right now. I still feel a little bit uncomfortable when I speak with with Americans who speak very fast and I don't understand them, and I feel a little bit awkward that I can't understand them fully and I can't express my thoughts in the way that I want to express them. But I stop myself and remind myself, if I want to do that, I just need to focus on transmitting a message first. Yeah, so these three things have helped me a lot, and I hope they will help you.
Tip number 3 is, guys, we should all forget about reaching perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. Unless you were born with the ability to speak 2 languages, as a bilingual, but even bilingual people struggle sometimes. Even native speakers struggle sometimes. There's no such thing as being perfect, and you will always find words you don't know. You will always find new vocabulary, new complicated grammar things that you don't understand, which is completely fine. Our whole life is learning. We're always learning something new, and you should not be afraid of not knowing something, right? It's good. It's good to be curious. It's good to learn something new all the time. And usually, guys, the craziest part is that people who want to reach perfection, those are the people who are afraid of making mistakes the most. And the reason why I know about that is because I was one of those people. When I was still in high school, I was actively learning English. I was always so afraid of making mistakes. I thought that right now, okay, I'm gonna speak English right now. My teacher just asked me a question in English. I have to respond. But if I make one teeny tiny little mistake, the world is going to end. I don't know why. I was so afraid. I was so afraid just because I wanted my English to be perfect all the time. But right now, guys, believe me or not, I feel so much better because I don't worry about it. If I do make a mistake one day, it's okay. Guys, it's not the end of the world. This is how we learn. And if somebody corrects my mistake, even better, because I'm actually going to learn from my mistake. That's why mistakes are great, and learning from them is even better.
Hi everyone, my name is Tay and I am one of Veronika's many friends around the world. One thing that I did in order to overcome my fear was to write down what's actually stopping me from speaking to people in English and ask this question: is this true or is this false? And then if it's false, I move on from that fear. So here's what I mean by it. Let me break it down for you. Whenever I was trying to speak in English to a foreigner, the first thing that I would say was this: I'm sorry, my English is not good. I mean, I said this in order to, feel better about me not being really good at English, but I wonder if this actually was one of the hindering factors that stopped me from being confident, because I was basically, talking badly about my level of English. So what I had to do was to ask this question after writing it down: is this true or is this false? And it actually turned out to be false, because my English is getting better day by day, so I don't have to worry about my English not being good. Another one that I used to think a lot was this: they will not understand my question. So whenever I asked a question, I was afraid that people would not understand the way I formed the sentence, or I would ask a question. And I had to also write it down and ask if it's true or if it's false. And the answer is false, because actually people are willing to understand your question and they are patient enough to listen to you. And also, your English is not that bad. So that's one thing that I had to realize and write it down and move on from. One last thing that was a big thing for a long time was this: everyone will laugh at my accent. And is this true? Well, for some mean, bad people, they might laugh at you, but in most cases, it's false. Why? Because your accent is not what defines your ability to speak. It's actually the way that you ask and what you ask that matters. So my accent was not a big deal, but I used to be so afraid of it. So I had to write it down, ask a question of truth or false, and I had to move on from this fear. So doing this exercise really helps me improve in the different areas of fear that I had when it comes to speaking in English. I don't know if it helps, but I hope it does, and I hope you continue with your English journey with Veronika Mark. So, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
My tip number 4 is, guys, you should keep speaking English even if you're scared. There's this basic rule that a lot of people know about. The more you do something, the better you become. It's the same thing with speaking, with English, with your fear. Even if you're afraid, sometimes, guys, you just have to push through your fear. So how can you do that? Obviously, you have to speak English regularly. Every day, even better. If you have an opportunity to take classes every day, for example, if you join the Lingida language sprint, you will have this opportunity because you will be taking English classes every day. This way, you can lose your fear of speaking English. Sometimes people talk to themselves or they record videos of themselves. They create a YouTube channel. That's actually something I did. So yeah, there are so many different things you can do to help you improve your English skills and lose this fear of speaking English. Okay guys, get ready for a little embarrassing story right now, because as I live in Mexico City, there are a lot of people who understand English and who I can communicate in English with to some extent. Obviously, I'm learning Spanish right now because I live in Mexico City and it's important to be able to speak Spanish here. However, it's always easier for me to choose English. And now every time I want to say something in English, I have to stop myself. I have to stop myself and tell myself, Veronika, no, you're not going to say, sorry, I don't speak Spanish. You're going to try, at least try, guys. Because this is what I'm experiencing right now. I do have this fear of speaking Spanish because my Spanish is not good enough and I can't explain almost anything. So that's why I'm afraid, but that's okay. People generally understand me. And if not, of course, at the end of the day, I can always use Google Translate or switch to English.
Hi guys, today I want to share with you 3 things what helped me to overcome my fear of speaking English. I think first and most important is that you need to try to speak even if it feels very scary. Even if you're making mistakes, people sometimes don't understand you, interrupt you and all this stuff, you know? But you need to try speak anyway, every time, use any opportunity of it. Second, try to watch a lot of TV shows in original language, with subtitles, sometimes without subtitles, because you will hear a lot of different accents. So try to watch TV shows in English, even in British English, if you understand what I mean. And third thing, I don't think it will work for everyone, but I found American boyfriend, so it's really helped me a lot to improve my English and fight my fear of speaking English. So just try to find a friend or boyfriend or somebody else who speaks English, who won't condemn you, who will just accept you who you are.
And now guys, let's move on to tip number 5, which is all about changing your mindset to become more confident. Okay, I understand that some of us are very unconfident by nature, but guys, if you really want to change your current situation and not be afraid of speaking English, you have to become a little bit more confident. And there are so many different things you can do to become more confident. And one of the things that I recommend is reading good books. And here I want to recommend 3 amazing books that helped me and a lot of other people become more confident. And by reading these books, you can first improve your language skills, right? Because you're going to be reading, you're going to be learning new vocabulary, but you will also be making yourself a more confident person, which is amazing. So the first book with a pretty funny name is You Are a Badass, and I loved the book. A lot of people always talk about the book when it comes to confidence, when it comes to becoming a person who can do almost anything and everything. This book is amazing. It makes you more motivated, it makes you more productive, and it's written in a very fun way. So I highly recommend this book. The second book is called The Happiness Project, and I really love the storytelling aspect of it. And the last book is The Gift of Imperfection by Brené Brown. And Brené Brown is a really famous professor and author, and she has her own TED Talk, so you can check it out as well.
Hi, this is Edu from Mexico. It's a really good question. How did I overcome the fear of speaking English? As a teenager, I didn't realize how important English would be. A few years later, I comprehend that there's a high correlation between how far you wanna go and English. In my particular case, I work in the business world. And what is the trend nowadays? Startups. And most of the capital that these enterprises raise comes from the United States. If you wanna get a high position and as a result, a high salary, English is essential. Another example is everybody of us have the dream of traveling, and no matter where, the most likely language which you are going to be understood is English. So the language is a tool to enhance, to improve, and to boost your travel experience. Last but not least, English has given me the opportunity to meet some of the most interesting and amazing people I have in my life. And without English, there would have been no way to connect. In conclusion, how to overcome the fear? For me, it's more like a choice you make to cross the line, to open the gate to amazing and exciting experiences.
So yeah, I think that's it for this video. Again guys, make sure to use my discount code VeronikaSprint and the link in the description to join Lingida's Language Sprint. This is an amazing opportunity for you guys to become more confident by practicing English every single day and also receiving cashback, which is just amazing. As usual, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!